Hi my friends, this is Jody Renshaw with the Thrifty Pigeon and Studio 36, and tonight I wanted to share with you Kokology, if you haven't already heard of it. So I bought a couple of books on Kokology, and I hope I'm saying it right, I think I am, back in college and have been using them with friends ever since. I thought that these books would lend themselves well to the YouTube community and to my community of friends in particular. So if you haven't already heard of it, let me give you a quick introduction, and then we will walk through one of the stories together. So, well, I think it's best if I just read the back of the book. So here's the book, and I think, or the first one, and I think that you can still buy these. I'm almost positive. So I'll read you the back, and I'll give you a little introduction to Kokology, and then we'll walk through a story together, and maybe you'll learn a little bit about yourself, a little bit more about yourself. So I'm going to leave all of this tongue twisting in the video, so I hope that's okay with you. On the back it says, Kokology was created by a famous Japanese psychologist. Kokology is the study of kokoro, which is the mind or spirit in Japanese. Based on sound psychological principles, Kokology asks you to answer questions about seemingly innocent topics, such as the color of an imaginary bird that has flown in your window, and then reveals what your answers say about you. Kokology offers a unique approach to self-discovery, and when played with others can provide hilarious insight into the you that they never knew. So I've done this with friends a lot, and actually some of their answers are still in the book. I like to write them in so that later on we can remember them, and especially with my husband and son, I like to remember what they've said, or even myself, and see if it's changed over the years. So let me give you the definition of Kokology. So it says Kokology, noun, Japanese, kokoro, mind, spirit, feelings, and Greek, logia, which is the study of. So basically the study of feelings, spirit, and mind. The first definition is a series of psychological games designed to uncover emotional and behavioral traits of the players. 2. Second definition, a popular term for the interpretation of the hidden meanings of human behavior and situational responses. So, what I'd like to do in a really calm way is to read you a story that you walk through in your mind, and then I ask you a series of questions for you to answer for yourself. And you don't have to share the answers, or you can, and that might be fun for you. I have never minded sharing, but that's not for everyone, so you decide. Here are a few guidelines, if you will, when walking through these stories. It says 8 tips for playing Kokology as though it's a game, and it kind of is like a parlor game. So 1, say the first thing that pops into your head. So obviously we will be doing this through video, so you won't be saying the first thing that comes into your head, but pay attention to the first thing that comes into your head when I ask a question. 2, play with other people if you can. And I'll read a little bit about that. It says, Kokology can be read alone like any other book, but it's most enjoyable, exciting, and entertaining when you play with a partner or in a group. And then it goes on to explain why. But we'll play in this group. So, 3, don't try to predict the answers. It's natural to want to try to outsmart the quizzes or guess what their hidden meanings may be, but what are you going to learn from that? 4, be honest with yourself. Kokology may only be a game, but like any good game, it can teach you something about yourself if you let it. Don't be afraid to accept the truth when a minor fault or shortcoming of yours is exposed. I can sense that you're basically a good, intelligent, likable person. You bought this book, didn't you? 5, be prepared. Some of the quizzes will ask you to write something down or draw a picture, so it's a good idea to have a pen or pencil and some paper handy before you start. I've never had to use pen or paper because we just use our imaginations, and typically you remember your responses, but you can do that if you want. 6, don't read ahead, which I won't do for you, so you don't need to read the explanation or hear the explanation. 7, watch people's reactions, including your own. The interpretations to the scenarios given in this book are only a starting point for learning more about yourself and others. Sometimes it's more intrusive and entertaining to see how someone reacts to an answer that's a bit off target than it is to read an interpretation that's right on the money. So it's not always going to be right on the money. You decide. 8, keep an open mind. In Kokology, as in life, it's important to keep things in perspective. There are no correct answers and more than one way of reading any situation. If you're playing with friends, take the opportunity to learn from and about them. What fun would the world be if we all thought alike? Variety is the spice of life. Agreed. So, the first story is sort of walks you through a scenario. And what I would like you to do, and what I ask my friends to do when we play this in a group, is to close your eyes, let the reader walk you through the scenario, let the reader ask you the questions, and then answer them in your mind, and hold on to the answers as I continue to ask other questions. In this particular story, there are 4 questions. At the end of the story, I will then tell you what your answers may say about you. Again, this is just for fun. So I'm not a psychologist. I am not your therapist. I wouldn't qualify if I tried. So just have fun with it. Relax yourself into it. And I think we'll do, let's see, I'd like to do 3 a night, as long as they're not too long. We'll start with 1 and see how long it takes. We're 7 minutes in, and so we'll see what happens. Okay, you ready? Take a deep breath. And quiet your mind if you can. Press pause if you want to grab a drink. And I will walk you through a scenario, and I would like you to do your best to picture it and just see what flows from that and be honest with yourself about the things you're seeing. And then we'll find out what those things might mean. Okay? The first story is called A Desert Journey. Whoops. Sorry, my light changed for a second there. A Desert Journey. Your desktop is spilling over with unfinished paperwork. The rest of the office has already gone home for the night. You look up at the clock, and it laughs back. You wonder, with a sinking feeling inside, if this job will ever be done. The professor drones on and on through a 3-hour double lecture on the world's most boring subject. There's no space left for doodles in your notebook, and you're only 30 minutes into the class. You begin to think you've somehow been frozen in time. Waiting can be a special form of torture, worse than any momentary pain. The combination of frustration and boredom can send even the bravest heart into a state of panic. Our first journey will bring us face to face with the infinite. Take a moment to prepare yourself and enter the eternal desert. And here we go into the desert. You are riding a camel across the vast and empty expanse of a seemingly endless desert. You have ridden until you are near exhaustion. What words would you say to the camel that has carried you all this way? Just at the point when you thought you'd die of thirst, a beautiful oasis appears, but someone has arrived before you. Who is this other traveler? Time passes slowly in the desert, and it feels like an eternity before the lights of a town appear on the horizon. You have finally reached your destination. What are your feelings as you come to your journey's end? The time has come to part with the camel you have ridden for so long. Just as you dismount, a new rider climbs into the saddle to take your place. Who is this new rider? That's the end of the journey. If you don't feel like you've gotten any quick answers that came to your mind from the questions I asked, you can rewind and try it again. So now I will give you the interpretations by this Kokologist. There are two names actually. Neither one the creator. Okay. You might have to Google that. Okay, so here we are. The desert and camel theme symbolizes the journey toward personal independence. Specifically, this scenario reveals your feelings about parting with a lover. Your answers show how you might react when the time comes to go your separate ways. So the first question, when I asked you what words would you say to the camel that has carried you all the way? The words you spoke to the camel reveal what you might say to yourself when you realize love has been lost. Did you try words of encouragement like, we'll make it through somehow, or don't worry, this can't go on forever? Or was there a hint of despair? We're lost, this is hopeless, I think we're going to die out here. Okay, number 2, when a beautiful oasis appears just when you feel like you're going to die of thirst, someone has arrived before you. Who is this traveler? So in psychological terms, the oasis symbolizes the key to solving one's problems. The person you encountered here could be someone who has helped or comforted you in the past, or one you might turn to in times of need. And then, what are your feelings as you come to the journey's end? The town at journey's end stands for the order restored to your emotions once you've recovered from your broken heart. Your feelings upon reaching the town are your true feelings about finally getting over a lost love. Finally, the new rider who climbs onto the camel. The new rider is a person toward whom you feel a secret rivalry, jealousy, or resentment. Is the person you named a rival in love, or maybe someone who once broke your heart? So that is the end of the first story and its interpretations. And you can see how this could be fun in a group setting when everybody says, oh my gosh, I saw so-and-so, or oh my gosh, I said this, and nah, that's not true of me, or oh my gosh, that's totally true of me. So let's try another one. This one is shorter. And this one's called the Bluebird. So I'll give you a minute. Less than a minute, probably. And you might want to close your eyes so you can imagine. One day, a bluebird suddenly flies through a window into your room and is trapped. Something about this lost bird attracts you, and you decide to keep it. But to your surprise, the next day, the bird has changed color from blue to yellow. This very special bird changes color again overnight. On the morning of the third day, it is bright red, and on the fourth, it turns completely black. What color is the bird when you wake up on the fifth day? Now this story gives you 4 choices, so just try to find the one closest to what you imagined. Number 1, the bird doesn't change color, it stays black. Number 2, the bird turns back to its original blue. Number 3, the bird turns white. Number 4, the the bird turns golden colored. So if you need to reimagine that, then go ahead and rewind. And then find what best suits. And I'll tell you what Kokology says about your answer. So the bird that flew into your room seemed like a symbol of good fortune, but suddenly it changed color, making you worry that happiness would not last. Your reaction to this situation shows how you respond to difficulties and uncertainty in real life. So number 1, for those who said the bird stays black, have a pessimistic outlook. Do you tend to believe that once a situation goes bad, it never really returns to normal? Maybe you need to try thinking, if this is as bad as it gets, it can't get any worse. Remember, there's no rain that doesn't end, and no night so dark that there's no dawn the next day. 2, those who said the bird turns blue again are practical optimists. You believe that life is a mix of good and bad, and that it doesn't pay to fight against that reality. You accept adversity calmly and let things run their course without undue stress or worry. This outlook lets you ride out the waves of adversity without being swept away. 3, those who said the bird turns white are cool and decisive under pressure. You don't waste time on fretting and indecision, even when a crisis develops. If a situation gets too bad, you feel it's better to cut your losses and look for another route to your goal rather than getting bogged down in needless grief. This proactive approach means that things seem to just naturally go your way. 4, those who said the bird turns golden can be described as fearless. You don't know the meaning of pressure. To you, every crisis is an opportunity. You might be compared with Napoleon, who said, quote, "Impossible, the word is not French," end quote. But be careful not to let your boundless confidence get the best of you. It's a very fine line between fearless and foolhardy. Okay, so how is that one for you guys? I wonder. We'll do one more. I think that'll be good. 3, maybe like 3 a night. Or 3 every time I do one of these videos. So this one's called A Night at the Symphony. So, and we'll do maybe a little eye closing. There's something magical about a night at the symphony, a sense of expectation and pure pleasure. Imagine being able to take a place on that stage among the other musicians, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to perform at your very best. If you could join the orchestra, what instrument do you see yourself playing? Now, they only give you 4 choices here. So, if you need to reimagine and go back, you know what, I'll just do it again. There's something magical about a night at the symphony, a sense of expectation and pure pleasure. Imagine being able to take a place on that stage among the other musicians, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to perform at your very best. If you could join the orchestra, what instrument do you see yourself playing? 1, the violin, 2, string bass, 3, trumpet, or 4, flute. So if your choice wasn't any of those, you could maybe find one that's closest to it. And here is what Kokology says about your answers. Musical instruments are symbolic of members of the opposite sex. The pairing of you and your instrument shows how you perceive yourself in making the music of love. The instrument you chose gives insight into what you think of as your strongest lovemaking technique. I forgot what some of these stories were about, so day 1 we're getting right into sex. Okay, here we go. If you said the violin demands sensitive finger work and a delicate touch with the bow to draw forth music from the taut strings. You see yourself as having the same awareness and skill in locating and playing upon your partner's most sensitive points. There's a sense of adventure in the way your hands can create such beautiful music by running over the same familiar notes. 2, string bass. There's a feeling of power gotten from taking position behind an enormous bass and making it call out in a tremendous moan. In love, your skill rests in the ability to bend your partners to your will, taking complete control and driving them onward to pleasures they never imagined they could experience. You never ask permission. Well, I hope you do. But that dominating character is what makes you so irresistible. Just be careful with that, okay? 3, trumpet. There's no getting around it. Your mouth is the strongest weapon in your arsenal. Whether it's whispering love talk in your partner's ear or exploring them with your lips, you have all the characteristics of the oral personality. 4, flute. The flute demands incredible patience from those who want to master it. You show that same patience in the way you wear down partners with your persistence, determination, and stamina. Your lovers are often taken off guard when what they thought would be a brief recital quickly develops into a full concerto in 6 movements. Okay. I kind of don't want to end it there, so we'll do another non-sexual one. How's that? Breathe. Imagine. Close your eyes. Pause these if you need to. This one's about your birthday. This one goes a little deeper. No pun intended. Okay, your birthday is the one day a year when you're justified in expecting things to be just a little nicer than usual. Well wishes and congratulations, presents and cards, maybe even a party or a romantic dinner for 2. It's your birthday today. And when you check your mailbox, you see you've gotten a card from someone you would have never suspected. Who is the sender? You have also received a number of gifts from family and friends. Of that group, who sent you the biggest package? I have notes all over this one because I've done this one many times with friends. So here is the answer key. The responses you gave signify your true feelings about people in your life, feelings you might not even be aware of yourself. The person who unexpectedly sent you a card is actually someone you would like to care more about you or give you more attention. In short, the person you named as the sender is someone you worship from afar. Is it someone you barely know, someone you've been hesitant to approach, or just a friend you haven't heard from in a while? Maybe it's time you made the first move toward bridging that gap. On the surface, you might associate the biggest package you received with good feelings about the sender. But from a psychological perspective, the person you named as the sender is actually someone whose affections you take for granted. This doesn't necessarily signify a lack of respect, but you definitely feel confident of their feelings for you. Be careful not to get overconfident. What feels like security to you may look like plain selfishness to others. So, what do you think? Are any of these like hitting home? Are they interesting? Are you learning something about yourself? Is it just fun? Do you think it's silly and ridiculous and not anywhere close to reality? You tell me, and we'll try some of these again in the future. I think, yeah, I do have 2 of these books, so we have plenty to work with, and we'll see what you guys think. So that's the end of my time. It looks like it's going to be about 25 minutes, and that's when my camera shuts off. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for playing with me, and I look forward to hearing what you guys think if you want to share. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I love you so much. Bye for now.